Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Monday, the 24th day of July, 2023. Well, we have a bunch of smoke in the area. Let me make sure my sound's up here. It is. I think we've got a fire in Warm Springs. I looked last night and it's not that big. It's over 1,000 acres, but usually that whole area is super dry, and it just seems like the wind comes through and just expands the fire everywhere. So I don't know what's going to happen with that one. And then I guess we've got one maybe in southern Oregon too. So you walk out the door and you're hit with smoke. It's fun. Not like a couple of years ago when we literally were surrounded. We didn't have any danger to us or anything, but the fires were all around us, and we were just caught in the middle of it. And you couldn't go outside. You couldn't, not without, eye protection, and you nearly needed to have a respirator on to go outside. My husband had to go outside and do irrigation and stuff and water the gardens, and it was just, the smoke was everywhere. You couldn't see, you couldn't breathe. So people that are up in Canada that are still dealing with this, yeah, it's awful. It really is. I'm kind of surprised we haven't had more fires around here this so far, but we haven't, so that's good. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Our rune from the Elder Futhark is Laguz today. If you've been here before, you know that the two runes I take, one from the Elder Futhark and one from Geomancy, they describe the as above, so below significators for the readings. So Laguz would be the above side of things. That's flow and intuition. It's flow from spirit. It can be clairsentience. It can be it's useful in cleansing rituals. It's useful in empathic types of shielding and dissolving the energetic channels that we create between one another. Particularly for empaths, it's useful because we have a tendency to hang on to stuff. It coats us in a way that is just, because you figure everywhere you go, you're overlapping auras and overlapping the astral energy of the self, and that's further out from the body. And if someone focuses that energy on you for any reason, then it gets kind of sticky feeling. And so it's always good to do a ritual. Sometimes you can do it twice a day. So if it's, if you're out and about in big areas where there's, say you work in a big box store or something, you might need to do it, morning and evening, just to release some of that, from you. Laguz is like a magical hook. I'll show you again, that you can visualize as you dissolve your energetic channels, and you can use that as a magical hook and chant Laguz to draw what's left back to you that belongs just to you. And it's a lot. It's very calming. Again, if you're empathic at all, if you're aware of that within yourself, because everyone is, but you need to sever all that and just sit in your own resonance and have that be what you experience versus all the stuff from everybody else. But anyway, let's go ahead and throw down the four elemental runes for Geomancy. We'll put them in the order of fire, air, water, and earth. There's earth and air and water. Oh, this is easy one. This is Vaya. We had Vaya on Thursday of last week. Vaya is the path or the way. It's an active type of an energy versus its complement populace, which is more the crowd or people or following or being a follower instead of somebody who's more of a independent path taker, if you will. So it's kind of with Laguz you have a receptive energy, and then with Vaya it's more of an active energy. So you can hopefully allow spirit to flow into that new path that's going on today for you, or the choice to take a new direction. Have that be informed by higher awareness instead of, being purely egoic. where you're simply responding to what's going on. It really suggests having some thought to it, and not just, okay, that's open, I'll go do that. I mean, it might be fine, but you just want to make sure that you understand more of what the path is all about before you truly embark on it. But let's go ahead and see if we can get a little more information from the cards today. See how long my voice gives out here. I mean, you still have to get stuff done around your property, when you have gardens and plants to water and all of that. So you have to go out in it. My poor husband was out mowing last night, and so I don't think he wore a mask when he was out there. He probably should have. It's nice when the wind blows the smoke a different way, but that's not always going to be the case. Let's see, I spilled some water on my table over here, so I'm going to cut the deck and put that one over there instead of on my table. And we'll take the cards from the lower half of the deck. Well, as I was saying about higher awareness, we have 2 cards from the major arcana here today, Temperance and the Empress, and then we also have the 7 of Wands. There could be something with, I'm going to start with the 7 of Wands, I think, and then we'll ultimately decide what the order of the cards are and how we'll read it. But let's start with the 7, especially if you want to talk about Laguz as intuition and letting intuition flow. There's something about standing your ground here today that's coming into play. And it may be this new path you're wanting to take, that you could be having other people trying to suggest, no, you should do something else or what have you, or then maybe they want to try to go with you on the same path. And for you, it's a more independent, it's like the sign of Aries or Sagittarius, either one. They tend to want to take their own individual path, particularly if they're under stress. They want to do that. They want to, instead of bringing people along with them, they just want to be off on their own. And it may have something to do with that. But 7 is about observation. It's about balance. It's letting things settle out until you understand the situation. I mean, here he's standing up on a higher level of ground than these other staffs are coming from. And he's taking a look, really, with some protection here with his staff. He's protecting himself. But he's taking a look at what's going on below him as well. It's not just standing his ground. He's observing, and he's trying to figure out, okay, what's going on here, and what do I have to defend against? This may be something that was coming about for a while, and now he's had to make a decision, and he's got a new opportunity. He wants to take that. Wands, the suit of Wands it reflects the fire element. So this could be new opportunities. Obviously, a new path could be a new opportunity. Maybe you're going to want to use your intuition to understand the bigger picture of it all. And here, though, it's almost like he's made a decision here, and reflecting that what he knows within is the best thing for him to do. And you can almost see, well, I mean, it kind of looks like maybe there's like the start of a path where his left foot is going physically on the ground. But realistically, he needs to protect what he's going to go do. And clearly, he doesn't want anybody else helping him with this. Moving on to Temperance, we had Temperance actually on Thursday. And so both Temperance and with Vaya, this may be, let me look and see what else we had. Oh, we ended up taking the Hermit too. 5 of Wands we had on Thursday, and we also had Urus. So manifesting something here, but with 5 of Wands, nobody was really listening to one another. Lots of views were being expressed, but nothing was really happening there. No one was getting hurt. You see about 5 guys with staffs, swinging them around, but nobody's getting hit with them. And so we also had the Knight of Wands, and that was setting off on a spiritual quest. So there just seems to be And then with the hermit, just seems to be getting away from it all to try to figure out what's best. And so this could have something to do with Thursday's reading as well. But if not, that's okay. But here again, we have the angel, red wings. We have the higher self emanating, the whole spirituality emanating from the angel's golden hair. There we see a headband on the angel's head with a round disc. That's the sun disc. That's again represents the element of fire. Here you have the glyph for fire on the angel's gown. And realistically, with temperance, what you're trying to do here is you're trying to balance will with emotion. You see 1 foot in the pond below. You see 1 foot on the ground, on the earth. That could be that could be grounding into the earthly form as well. You see the irises over here. You see the sun rising between 2 peaks, and what splits the 2 peaks is a path that goes up, well, between the pond and the mountains there. A little bit windy, but there's the promise of a new day, a promise of a new experience if you can keep the will in check with emotions. Fire is quenched by water, and so water is going to temper some of that. Temperance is really about remaining moderate or flexible, or you could say moderation, if you will. Instead of, and again, you kind of have that sense here. It's not like he's, turning and going on with things. He's giving it a little bit more of some thought maybe here, where he's taking a look at what's down below him, what's coming in on him, and he's defending his ground. I don't like his stance. A martial artist would be be going, no, cover the groin area, and by the way they stand, but that would be unacceptable. That would have been, we used to teach karate, so that would be a totally unacceptable stance with our students. It would have been, or with us either. But in any event, he's using that staff to protect where he's going to go and the decision that he's made. He's getting above it all. So in a sense, there's a level of moderation there too, because he's taking a look at the whole picture, not just responding to one little thing and going off, without really thinking about it. And observing the whole situation from a higher perspective. You could look at it that way too. And again, with temperance, that's part of that higher perspective. You see the new path reflected there, right over here, going in between the 2 peaks. 2 peaks, anytime you see 2 of the same thing, you're looking at balance. So again, balance, moderation is part of temperance. And again, when you stop and take a look at things, trying to get a higher perspective about it, to understand the overall picture of it, there's a level of moderation or temperance by doing that, because you're not simply going off and doing what you want to do without thinking about it. And from there, you can give birth to something new. Here we have the Empress. When did we have the Empress last? I don't see her. And I know we've talked about her recently. Maybe I didn't write it down. In any event, let me move this out of the way because now I can't see. We have the Empress. She sits on her throne. She's got a crown of Merkabahs there. So she's really she's the 3rd card of the major arcana, and so you're looking at you have the Fool, which is the soul taking its leap into form, trusting the process. Nothing is defined at this point. We don't know the gender. We don't know anything about the theme of why that soul is taking that leap into incarnation. But the magician is going to create the world, all of the elemental world that the Fool is going to jump into, basically. And then we have the High Priestess next, card 2, which creates the subconscious aspect of self. for. So you've got the physical and the subconscious, and that's the high priestess provides that link to the soul awareness, because that's the only reason for the body to begin with, is so the soul can have a journey into physical reality, take that information that he or she gains in form back to the collective consciousness. We see the glyph for Venus on a heart-shaped shield. We see wheat growing down here. We see lots of greenery back here. The yellow sky can also indicate higher awareness coming through the Empress to then create the world. So you have the leap of faith, you have the elemental structure of it, you have the subconscious structure, and the Empress gives birth to the world. After that, you have the card 4 would then be the Emperor, who is the consort of the Empress. But she doesn't need him to create. All right. None of us needs anyone else or anything else to create. That's the natural aspect of the soul. It's creation energy. And so that's what the soul is here to do, to create its experiences and to learn from them. And so basically, if you're taking a new path today, there's an element of creation, there's an element of moderation and of understanding the bigger picture, and protecting, standing your ground, and being sure-footed as to what it is you want to do, and letting intuition flow into all of that process, so that you let higher awareness come in and inform the next step that you take, the next path that you take. And when you do, you have the sun coming up in between that you have to walk to, and you're walking toward that. And even though the mountains might suggest some kind of difficulties along the way, that's okay. We see the same thing in the Ace of Pentacles. When you walk under the archway, you can see some mountains in the background, but the path is heading toward them. And so also on the 8 of Cups, the same sort of thing. Let go of what no longer serves, and now you're going to walk up the path that's going up an incline. You can see some rocks in the way, actually bigger boulders, are not just little rocks. And so you know that although things might be challenging, that's just part of the whole thing. And so the same is true here for temperance. And you have to be able to see things with clarity. That's with the sun coming up between the 2 peaks and gaining your awareness from the soul's perspective and from what the soul needs to do here. And let's see, we have 14 is 5, 5 and 7 is 12. That's 3, 3 and 3 is 6. So we have a 6 overall numerology for the cards, and 6 is about empathy. It's about guidance. It's about shared path. Sometimes I know this next week the 6 of Pentacles, I think it is it the 6? Yeah, 6 of Pentacles will be the card I'm going to look at for the Exploring Tarot series I'm doing over on the blog at Stepping Aside. And there, you're looking at empathy and assistance that may not be really what those people need. And I'll talk about that when I do that post. And that'll be not for this week, but for next week. So I think that you can look at the 6 numerology in a variety of ways. Laguz is the 21st rune of the Elder Futhark. That's another 3 energy. And so if you put them all together, you're looking at 9. 9 is about spirituality, generosity, the spiritual messenger. It's also, in witchcraft, it's about endings and completion. It's bringing something to an end. And so maybe it's a period in your life where there's a feeling of endings here today, and now you're going to start something new. And maybe you've got an idea about what that's going to be. Maybe you've been exploring some opportunities all along, and now you just feel like, okay, I need to go do what I need to do. And even if you have to stand your ground with other people who might be trying to undermine it or trying to, tell you, oh no, you shouldn't do that, or what have you, it's important that if it's truly what you need to do, then you have to honor that and find some way to make that happen, find some way to make that manifest. But again, not letting the emotions get away from you. That's the whole idea of balancing fire with water. You've got this motivation to do something. You don't want to go off without thinking about it, though, and understanding as much of the overall picture as you can so that you can make the right decision for yourself. And that's where water can come in and kind of shape some of that, kind of bring fire down a little bit. But at the same time, you don't want it to quench the creation energy that you're feeling, is because that's what you're feeling when you decide to go do something new. That's creation energy happening for you. You're wanting to create something new for yourself, following another path, so I think that, again, moderation or temperance is a value there. You're excited about it, but at the same time, you've got to go into it eyes open as well. And I think that probably the seven and temperance probably talk about that. But from then, what you create is yours. And I think that that's what the Empress is saying here, or suggesting. The card is suggesting. And so who knows, it could be a very positive experience for you. I mean, and even if it's not, you still take away something from that, don't you? You learn from that whole experience where maybe it wasn't what you thought it would be, but you still learned something from it. So either way you look at it, whether it's a successful thing that involves, material security of some kind, financial security, or if it's just something that you want to experience for yourself. You draw whatever you can from that. And sometimes, the lessons that you learn or what you experience has way more value than what any money might bring you. So, because the money is temporary, but what you experience in the world may not. That will stay with you forever. So I think that's an interesting way to start a Monday. Go out there. See what you can create on your new path. Maybe we'll find out more on Thursday what that's about, or maybe we'll turn a corner and start something new. Who knows? But again, this may have something to do with what you were manifesting from a spiritual perspective, or having a spiritual component on last Thursday. It could be a continuation of that. Well, you'll just have to see how this resonates for you. So anyhow, thanks for watching. The trapper's going to be here in a little while. He's going to set a trap, or I don't know, maybe 2 traps. I don't know what he'll do. We saw the raccoon the other night when we were walking out to see the space station come overhead. If you can go on, I don't know, it's spot the station dot something or other. Anyway, you can sign up either to have a text or an email, and you can see when the space station is going to come over your area. And so we go out, unless it's after 11 o'clock or something, but we went out and to see the space station fly overhead. And I think it was I don't know if it was when we were going, yeah, and it was when we were going out there. We saw her in roughly the same place she was when she stood up on her hind legs and got aggressive with my husband. And then it was the next day that we called the people that can come and trap her, because we just want to relocate it. That's all we want. And there may be a couple more. They're not this year's babies. They might be last year's, but I don't know who they are really. But there could be a couple others there too. But yeah, I mean, we saw her, and she was in the grassy area, and then she went behind some little trees, little saplings, and we got the light on her, and you can see her eyes, and she's just she's watching us, and so maybe we can put a trap there or something. And then we think that they've got a den underneath the blackberries, and so we think, but we're not sure. So maybe those 2 places, and maybe we'll get her, and we can get her off the property anyway. So that's what's happening today. And I don't know if he's coming at 8 here, or if he's coming a little bit later in the morning, but I'll let you know on Thursday the status of it. So anyway, we haven't lost any more chickens. We've lost 4, and we have not lost any more. So that's good. But we need to resolve this. And because unfortunately, our place is a place that critters like this, just, it's a sanctuary for them. And if we didn't have the gardens we have, I mean, they get up on my dome greenhouse where I have all the grapes growing over it, and they take all my grapes, and I don't get the grape harvest I want. I save them, I freeze them for smoothies throughout the year. I don't know. And they're up on top, looking at my husband as he's walking by, coming back from setting night water out on the field. That's how he saw him. He comes in, he goes, "You aren't going to believe this." She had like 3 babies up there with her. And this is a couple years back. And so there's 4 of them up there and looking at him. And he shot the BB pistol at him. And I mean, it doesn't touch them. Their fur is so thick. It's not, I mean, they might feel it hit them, but it's not going anywhere, right? And that's assuming he even hit them. But he got them. He scared them enough that he got them off the dome. But I guarantee you, the second he walked away, they were back up there. I know it. So anyway, that's what we're contending with. They killed, the mom killed, or the female killed the big one, killed several of our chickens. And we've been dealing with this all month long. So maybe there's an answer this week. So fingers crossed. Anyway, thanks for watching. And click subscribe. I'd love you to do that and come back and join me again on Thursday for another edition of As Above, So Below and a raccoon update. Anyway, be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.